To Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
I am so excited to have a tremendous episode for everybody today. We're going to be interviewing a couple of the members of the Mackle family. Originally, they were doing development. Their family was original developers on Key Biscayne. They've evolved. They still do some home building, but they've got so many other things they do for folks to help them out. It's still about helping people. And so we're going to talk to them, Mackle brothers, next gen and next gen and next gen. It's going to be really a sort of a family generational show. Speaking of family generational shows, I want to thank our sponsors, Warren Henry, Larry, son of Warren. And Warren's dad actually started it way back when. I'm getting old, so I brain cramped on that. But so Larry's third generation, we'll be talking to third generation Mackles today. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Remember, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. So check out our friends at Warren Henry Automotive, been sponsors of the show for 12 going on 13 years. Lots of my friends and clients go there. And of course, you know, my wife, my mom, and I do. We love it at Warren Henry. It's great being part of the Warren Henry family. And of course, this week is Supercar Saturday out at the Seminole Hard Rock. And now, Mr. Mendoza, where are the Mackles? There they are. All right. We've got John and Frank Mackle with us on. They are the successor generations to the original Mackle family that developed here. John, welcome to the show. Frank, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you having us.
It's my absolute pleasure. So let's just talk. I got all excited when I heard you guys were going to be on the show because, you know, I'm like in real estate and I'm like a historian and I look out all over Key Biscayne from my place that I live. And so, you know, your family is one of the founding families here in town, and then you've evolved, and I think it's a great story to talk about intergenerational growth and the maintenance of the personal brand and all that other stuff. And my gosh, I'm kind of done with my introduction, so I guess I'll turn it over to John to tell us a little bit more, and then you can weave Frank in there too.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about Mackle real estate history, my dad Frank here is the go-to. I was around for some of it. And of course, we grew up with all the great stories. And my brother, Tom, I'll throw in a plug for him. He's carried on the family legacy, building luxury homes around Miami today. MackleBuilders.com is him. But no, I'd leave it to Dad to give the background on the family. That'd be.
Well, I can't wait to meet your brother, have coffee with him. And Frank, give me one really cool story.
Well, it's good to be with you, Jim. You know, my dad is very big in my life, and his stories of he and his father, who started the business in Jacksonville in 1908,
wow,
are part of my history, and I'm kind of the family historian, so I don't know where you want to start, but Dad came out here in 1938 to start the family business. His father, Frank Sr., had been in the construction business in Jacksonville and later in the South, in Nashville and Birmingham and so forth. And they had a tough time, like everybody did, going through the Depression. And but they had come out of it in Nashville. And Frank Sr. Had three sons: my father, Frank, and also his brothers Robert and Elliot. And he sent them. He had bought a piece of property in Delray Beach. I guess he was doing well enough after the Depression that he was in late 30s vacationing in Miami, in South Florida, and had bought a piece of property to build a few homes on when he came down in the winter, and he figured he'd have something to do, to sit on the homes and sell them. These were small frame homes, which are now about a block away from the main street in Delray. But the family story is that they came down, the brothers, two of the three brothers came down ahead of their father and built the houses. And within a month or two before the winter came, they had sold the houses. So his father said, "Hey, that's pretty good. Why don't you build?" They had built on half the lots. He said, "Build the other half." And well, they built the other half, and they sold the other half before he could come down here. So that kind of made him realize where the future was. And at that point, that winter, he moved the family construction business and his three sons to Delray Beach. And the rest is Florida history, South Florida history.
That's tremendous. You know, I always wondered how that happened. It's a great story. The founding families of South Florida, as we continue to grow, they knock down history here. It's really great, Frank, to have you on the show and to share that. And I look forward to perhaps another segment where we can talk in general with your other son about the home building business and really create some wonderful content together. But it seems to me that then that all kind of evolved and created a platform. You were providing services. John, how did Worksite get into your mind and then become a business? Because this is a tremendous business, and as Florida and the world moves more towards the gig economy and a flexible economy, this is just a logical extension of all that.
Sure. So I, grew up obviously in the real estate family, feeling like, we're a family of builders, but I kind of took a left turn. Instead of building real estate projects, I've built companies. This is the third company. We just had our 10-year anniversary. And Worksite Employee Leasing is an employee leasing firm, but that's sort of an older term. Basically, what we do is we handle all the headaches associated with having employees for small and medium-sized business owners. So, for good and bad reason, the regulations that have come up around having employees has gotten far more complex over the years, and that's where we step in. We handle everything you would associated with having employees: payroll, workers' comp, benefits, HR support, the works, so that our clients, for example, small restaurant owner, can focus on the restaurant and not employee paperwork.
You picked the absolute. Oh, Frank, 1 second, because I've got the perfect rejoinder to that.
Sorry.
You picked the perfect example with the small restaurant, because I was going to harken back to one of the scenes. I just started watching The Bear, and in one of the scenes, the bear and his sister are flying through all of their paperwork because the IRS is coming and they want all the taxes, and their crazy brother never paid the taxes, and now they're going to lose their home.
Exactly. Happens all the time. Now they've done studies in our industry that show that if you use a PEO, of course it's self-serving, but if you use a PEO, you're 50% less likely to fail. But it just makes sense. If you can focus on your customers rather than dealing with an IRS letter that you received, then you're probably going to succeed more likely. But there's no real connection. I just wanted to build something. I had that kind of in my DNA, and this is what resulted.
I cut Frank off. Frank, you wanted to say something, and the last thing I want to do is be rude to our resident historian.
I'm very proud of John, and it's been funny that I was followed in my father's footsteps, but as my 6 children were growing up and coming out of college, they each went in their own direction, and 2 of them went into building business, but they all have done very well, and I'm very proud of them.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to cut that off. That's so far the best part of the show.
That's why I'm here.
You should tell the Coca-Cola story, Dad.
It's the Coca-Cola story.
That's a great one.
It's a story. It's a repeat of an old family story that my Frank Mackle Sr., my grandfather, in Atlanta. At one point, he was working in Atlanta and in the Depression, and he had a tough time going through the Depression. But he got a contract with the Coca-Cola company to build their plant in Atlanta, and they offered to pay him rather in cash. They offered to pay him in stock, and he declined the stock offer. Took the cash, needed the cash at the time, so you can imagine where that ended up 58 years later.
Yeah, I'm sure he's had a couple of hot dogs at the Varsity lamenting that particular decision.
I'm sure he did at the time.
But that's okay. We've all made decisions. I really think that we could all go backwards and change things, but then that would also change who we are today. So I think that everybody's stronger for having been through all of that. So John, I'm a business owner. I'm frazzled. My phone just rang. It's one of your people on your team that got me from perhaps a banker or somebody else that knew I was struggling but had good fundamentals. What are you going to tell me when I pick up the phone? Hi, this is Jim.
Yeah. So I love business, and I love small business, and I'm a business owner myself. So I love having those conversations with business owners, and inevitably within a few minutes of the conversation, they'll start talking about the headaches that, the things that are distracting them from why they got into the business. They didn't start the restaurant so that they could do paperwork. They didn't start the construction company so that they could deal with wage and hour violations. And, so we solve problems, and it's nice to be able to do that.
So a lot of my friends own development companies or real estate companies that own the properties. Like you, they went, I don't know, like me, they went to college, they learned accounting, sort of, management, sort of. We didn't have HR, a little bit of advertising. And then I'm in real estate, so I like that because it's integrative. But I can tell you right now, I still don't do the paperwork, the payroll, or all that other stuff. I can't really handle that. I have to have an outside source to do that. So what is the typical size of the company that you service?
Small. So it's I think the median employee count is 15. We have some very large clients, 400, 500 employees, but the vast majority of them are going to be around 10 to 20 employees. So it really is the small, that's the backbone of not only Florida, but, the country is small. There's something like 90,000 small and medium-sized businesses in the country. And it's all mom and pops. It's all owner operated, and with good intention. We've had a lot of regulation, but that has resulted in a very complicated scenario between workers' comp, benefits requirements, the new requirements of the newish requirements of the ACA, and all the other things coming down the pike from the Department of Labor. It just makes it harder and harder to own a business.
Look, I can't even figure out how to have a health savings account. And who's going to explain that to me? My accountant? No. The payroll firm? No. The bank? No. They just want to know if you want to do it or not. And I don't even know how to execute it personally. And,
right.
and I'm just a person.
Try staying on top of HR laws and how frequently those change.
That's why I don't really want to work in a company, and I don't really want to have employees, because I make a call. I get somebody's assistant on the line.
Right.
I don't even know how to refer to the person. So I just don't. And I ask them their name, and then I say, thank you. I never say ma'am, miss, sir, anything, because I don't know I don't know anymore. And I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know, should I be he, him? I don't know, how do I even know?
Right. So our clients call us and they say, oh, unfortunately, I've got to terminate, this guy, and how should I do it? And so our team will walk them through the things you can say and not say, and make that process as smooth as it can be. So, basically our clients just choose who to hire and what they do while they're there. That's all they have to worry about.
So I just hired somebody. You're on my team. That person walks through the door after they made their application, but before they've done anything, they just walk through the door. I have them call you. What happens?
They fill out our application to become an employee. You tell us what you want to pay them, and they're paid.
So they're my employee, or are they your employee, or is it a choice we can make together?
Well, we operate under a legal construct known as co-employment. So the state of Florida and the federal government considers that person to be co-employed. So we are responsible for all of the payroll tax and the workers' comp benefits, all the legal aspects of the employee. The state of Florida unemployment. So the state of Florida and the federal government will look to us as the employer of record in most cases. You're responsible as the client. You'd be responsible for how they're treated while they're in your shop, right? So.
Right. So like I do the unemployment tax filing. Now you would do that. I do the unemployment tax scrape. Now you do that.
That's right.
I worry about I don't have to call Paychex or ADP. I've got you.
Well, so they're competitors of ours. So
Okay, well, see,
they're
I'm
sort
just
of,
asking.
yeah, they're a similar service line to ADP or Paychex, although they basically do payroll and a few other things. We handle the whole bundle of services associated with.
I want to use you. They're very, very nameless, faceless, and I've had nothing but bad experiences with both of them. They're awkward and they don't understand the individual.
Well, we win a lot of accounts away from ADP and Paychex. They're a fine company, and they do good work, but it's kind of a cookie cutter. When you come to a smaller firm like Worksite, you get kind of the best of both worlds. You get all that high tech that comes from a big firm, but you get a person. Like we will assign, if you were to hire us, Jim, and had employees, we'd assign a person to your account that would become an extension of your company. She would know your kids' names, and she would feel like an employee of yours.
What if I don't have employees? What if I'm a single sole proprietorship?
Well, if you just want to pay yourself in as an employee, we can help you there as well. But generally, you need employees to be able to use.
Oh, I'm an employee of myself, so yeah, we'll talk about that.
We can help you.
I would love that. Oh, look
I'll give you a deal.
I have to smile. This is tremendous. I feel like part of the family already. Listen, let's take a quick break. Then we'll come back and get a couple of final thoughts from Frank and John. We'll be right back after this short break. John, Frank, can you guys stick with me for just a couple more minutes?
Absolutely.
Oh, that'd be great. We haven't heard enough from Frank. Frank, think of something good to say here. Mr. Mendoza, it's yours. This is tremendous. I'm having such a great time with the Mackles today. And I always have a great time when I'm with my friends at Warren Henry. This week is Supercar Saturday up at the Hard Rock. I'll be heading up there. Hopefully I'll see you up there as well. Remember, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to work with Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, Lincoln at 151st and Biscayne. Gainesville, they've got that gorgeous Audi store. They've got a brand new store out in West Broward for Land Rover, Range Rover, and they've got another brand new store down in South Dade for Land Rover, Range Rover. That one's won all kinds of awards. High five to Eric Day and Larry for getting all those stores open, and they'll always treat you like family. I've got to go for some service. I'll call up Maytel Stark. She'll make sure I get a service loaner if I need one. If I need to have any special things done to my rims, if I've scraped them up, they can arrange to have that polished out. If I've lost my keys, they'll replace them. They'll make sure that if I'm looking to buy a car, I get the best value on my trade-in. I get the best price on my new car or my lease car. They give me 72 hours to return the car if I don't like it. Nobody ever does that. They love their cars. So join me, my beautiful wife, Vivian, the apple of my eye, my center of everything, my mom, my friends, lots and lots, more and more clients all the time. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. I just love that event that Mr. Mendoza showed where you get to ride the Range Rovers over the rough terrain. Even saw Larry there in his mask. I love Larry. He's so tremendous. Just like the Mackles, this is the Warren Henry's a third generation family business, and it ain't so easy getting to the third generation. Reach out to me. I'm the founder of Sandstone Realty Advisors. I advise families on their real estate transactions and also private equity companies, institutions. Right now, we're closing a couple of loans for a family that's looking to get some cash out to distribute to the family members. I'm also working on a couple of condominium loans, a couple of high-end condo development equity placements, and a number of HELOCs and home loans and high-end private loans to build the homes like the Mackle brothers do. So, or Mackle Development. I'm not sure what they call them. So we'll ask them that in the next segment. But in any event, reach out to me, call me, DM me, because like the Mackle said earlier, my real job, I feel great whenever I help people achieve their dreams and goals. I love to help them solve problems and bring them peace of mind. So reach out to me, DM me, call me, because I'd love to do that with you. And remember, whenever you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
Hi, we're on again with John and Frank Mackle. As soon as Mr. Mendoza pushes the button, they'll be magically back with us. There they are. And I was counting on the break. I think we're talking about the fifth generation is the home builder brother. So John's like the fifth generation of this. Frank, you're the historian.
He would be 4 and his children are 5, and he just had a grandchild, two grandchildren, so 6.
Wow. Got to get somebody a toolkit there.
It's a big family.
That's tremendous. Well, Frank, you must be really proud. I always tell the patriarch of families like that they're wealthier than their bank account would ever show, because the bank money comes and goes, but the love and kindness and being surrounded by your family is literally the most important thing that we all have. So we were talking about the fact that even as a sole practitioner, there were ways that we could work together. I guess that there's no situation that's too small. And then obviously I'd love to talk about the great service and work that we've done together. Now, I have a CPA. Do you guys work with CPAs? Do you play well in the sandbox with others?
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of business from CPAs who, realize that running payroll is a low margin service line for them. And
how about bookkeeping? Do you help the people with doing their bookkeeping, balancing their checkbooks, stuff like that?
Yeah, funny you should ask. About 5 years ago, we've been around about 10 years ago. So
funny, my God, it's the biggest problem people have.
Yeah, well, once a client trusts you with their payroll, they ask you for other things, and so we started adding in additional. We have a sister company called Worksite Financial Services that does light bookkeeping, payroll. We do some CFO type consulting, things like that. Give you an example. When the pandemic hit and the PPP loans rolled out, and it was fairly complicated, we cross-trained about 20 or 30 of our people, had them reach out to our clients and help walk them through that crazy application that they had rolled out. And then my business partner and I, we went to our banking partners and we found we got our clients to the front of the line there. Remember that?
Whoa, hold on a minute there. So that's tremendous. That's an incredible value add, because let's harken back to, I don't know what, May of 2020, and people were going crazy and they couldn't get their banker on the phone.
Yeah.
And
what kind of loan? Yeah.
They had no idea.
Yeah. So you wouldn't normally expect your PEO or your payroll company to help you with that kind of thing, but we saw the need and we think like business owners. And so we looked for that opportunity. And then we helped them on the back end with the forgiveness applications as well. So that's how we just try to help where we can.
Wow. You're so on brand with me. This is great. I'm sorry. It's just so great. I really, 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 really look forward to meeting you guys in person. This is wonderful. Let's give somebody a little takeaway. What do you think would be the best thing to give as a takeaway? And I'm going to ask Frank first. Frank, what do you want people to know about your sons and the company that you've helped them with, and what kind of energy they have? Tell me a little bit about that. What makes you proud?
Well, as I said, they've all done very well, but I think they all build on the lessons that my father and his father handed down.
Beautiful.
And, one of them that sticks in my mind, has always been in my mind, is, and I don't boast about this, but it's a simple value. Honesty isn't just the best policy, it's the only policy. Or maybe my dad would say it the other way. It's not the only policy, but it is absolutely the best policy. It's not only the morally right thing to do, but it's the way to be successful in business. It's to be straight with people, be honest with people. And it's just, that's a pretty simple lesson, but I think an extremely important one that I've tried to hand down to my kids.
I look in business and in my personal life, I have a term. Maybe you can have this, John. I call it value system alignment. I don't want anybody in my life that I don't have value system alignment. It's what I tell the young people when I mentor them. The most important person in their life will be their partner, to make sure that they have value system alignment with them. Everybody in business, the real estate business, we all need to have value system alignment and an alignment of interests, or it just doesn't work in life. Frank, wow, that was so special and wonderful. I want to thank you for that. That's I couldn't have said
a great
it better.
example of that. A great example of that philosophy to honesty, Dad, is probably how the firm behaved in the aftermath of the Marco permit denials. Do you want to give the quick summary of that?
Well, we jumping over a lot of history, but my father and his brothers, and I worked with them for 25 years, built Marco Island, and Marco is a beautiful community. But the Achilles heel was we were in the midst of the environmental movement, and while we tried to preserve the environment as best we knew at the time in the 60s, we were caught up in the environmental movement, and a number of dredge and fill permits were denied, and it was a huge blow to the company, threatened the wealth of the public company that we were running, Deltona Corporation, and our personal wealth. But my dad's...
I didn't realize you guys were Deltona until you started talking like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were
I've been around too long if I'm remembering Deltona Corporation. No offense.
That's true. It's hard to believe how long ago that was.
It is. And Marco, I've been out there, but please keep going. So you were losing your permits.
And Forbes magazine predicted we were going to go bankrupt. And we had two options, in hindsight. I don't think we thought about it at the time, but we were concerned about our stockholders, but we were more concerned about our customers. And the first thing, there were about 6,000 customers affected by the permit denial. And we're really jumping over a lot of detail, but we were in the business of selling a contract today to create a lot and a home site 8 years from now. And in that 8 years, the environmental movement came in, and where the first permit at Marco Island took 9 days to achieve, the last two of them were denied. So what you see at Marco today is only about 30% of what was planned at Marco. But John's point is that we were concerned about the customers, and I personally, my dad was a great creator, but I seem to have inherited a lot of the challenges that came out of the great things that he did. And we dedicated ourselves to avoiding bankruptcy by taking care of all the customers that were lost their lot. And we either repaid them the money that they had paid in, or we traded them for other lots in other communities. And we worked for, somebody told me recently, only within the last 10 years, that the final customer was finally taken care of. But over the next 20 years, 15 to 20 years, that was our major. And we returned the company to prosperity and got through the 70s and 80s without bankruptcy. But I think that's the story that John was referring to.
I don't think anything really can demonstrate much more than that.
As a kid growing up hearing that story, it just, it filled you with pride that, I don't know all the details. When I tell the story, we did the right thing and survived it, and the Mackle name, carried forward. It could have gone the other way easily.
That's an incredibly important lesson that I'm actually going to take to heart and apply even more stridently after hearing that story. But that's the way I like to live my life as well. I think that's a great place to, I'll have to say it this way, pause our discussion. I'm hoping that you'll come back again. This was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to having coffee here in Miami with your son that builds the homes. I look forward to meeting you guys in person. I look forward to moving my account over there and working with you personally, so that I can give a personal recommendation, I guess would be the best way to say it. So thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much, John. If you guys could stick with us as I end the show and hang out in the green room, just please don't hit leave studio. Mr. Mendoza will take you off the screen, but I do want to talk after the show if you don't mind waiting for just a couple of seconds.
Sure.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful, wonderful event I've had here today. It's relationship building at its finest live. It's wonderful.
Thanks for having us.
It's my absolute pleasure, and good luck with your business. And I look forward, like I said, to learning more about it as a direct customer now. This is great. I'd like to thank the Mackles for being on the show today. I'd like to thank Mr. Mendoza for putting it together. I'd like to thank all of you for listening. I'd like to remind everybody we drop our new podcast every Wednesday at noon. I'd like to thank the Bergstrom Center for Real Estate Studies for being a sponsor. I'll be up there in a couple of weeks at the annual event. Hopefully we'll get some good interviews done up there. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Warren Henry Automotive. I'll see everybody at Supercar Saturday on Saturday at the Hard Rock. I can't wait to see everybody. And of course, we'll be here next Wednesday at noon with a new show. Remember, I love doing this. It brings me joy. I'll be here next week. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember, my personal brand is that I self-actualize by helping other people achieve their dreams and goals. It makes me feel good. That's somebody calling me for a home loan right now. I'm going to have to make it fast. And I do that by bringing them peace of mind. Remember, the person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now go out there and make it happen. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.